10 baby facts that will make you rethink everything. Number 10. There are so many IVF babies. IVF stands for in vitro fertilization. It is a medical procedure where an egg is fertilized with sperm outside the body, often described as taking place in a test tube. This method has been a major breakthrough for people who have difficulty conceiving. The first baby born through IVF arrived in 1978, nearly 50 years ago. Although the procedure has been around for decades, it remains one of the most reliable options for parents hoping to have children. Today, a baby conceived through IVF is born somewhere in the world about every 35 seconds. The question is, how many people are alive today because of IVF? Researchers estimate the number to be more than 13 million. This figure is based on health data collected from 101 countries. However, the true total is likely even higher. The first official IVF registry did not begin until the early 1980s in Australia, and many countries and clinics still do not provide complete records. Because of this, as many as 4 million additional births may need to be added to the overall count. Number 9. Winter babies are crawling champs. In 2014, the University of Haifa in Israel posed an interesting question. Does the season of birth influence when a baby starts to crawl? The study looked at 47 healthy children divided into two groups, those born during summer/autumn and winter/spring. Parents had to report on certain milestones, and the university team also assessed the kids at home. The winter kids started crawling at 30 weeks old, a whopping 5 weeks earlier than their summer counterparts. Experiments in Japan and Colorado produced similar results, but a study in Canada detected no difference between summer and winter kids. This could be due to Canadian home temperatures staying roughly the same all year round, where indoor winter heating keeps families warm until summer comes. In places like Israel, Japan, and Colorado, seasons pass in greater contrast. Summers might be hot or dry, while winters are freezing or wet. It remains unknown why contrasting seasons, and colder months in particular, supercharge a baby's ability to crawl. Number 8. Summer babies are healthier. In 2015, researchers in Britain studied nearly 500,000 people to explore whether the month of birth affects a child's development. They looked at 3 key areas: birth weight, the timing of puberty, and adult height and weight. The results showed that babies born in summer tended to weigh more at birth and grew up to be taller adults. Girls born in summer also began puberty later, which is generally linked to better long-term health. The reason for this seasonal advantage is not fully understood, but one explanation points to sunlight. Experts suggest that mothers who receive more sun during their second trimester produce higher levels of vitamin D. This vitamin may support healthier growth in the womb and contribute to stronger outcomes after birth. If this sunlight effect is confirmed, further studies could uncover how it works and how it might be used to give all children a healthier beginning. Number 7. The first remotely created baby. Scientists are continually working to advance reproductive technology. The goal is to make treatments more effective, helping people become parents sooner, and reducing the emotional toll of unsuccessful IVF attempts. One of the most intriguing innovations is remotely operated IVF, where the procedure is controlled from one country but carried out in another. This approach focuses on automating a process known as intracytoplasmic sperm injection. The technique involves 23 precise steps to inject a single sperm into an egg. Because the procedure is so delicate, eggs are often damaged or destroyed, which researchers hope automation can prevent. Automation could also reduce the heavy workload, since ICSI is usually performed by hand on hundreds of eggs each day. In 2025, the first baby conceived through this method was born. Specialists in New York used artificial intelligence and robotic systems in Mexico to select the best egg and sperm, then guided each stage of the fertilization process. Once the embryo was formed, doctors implanted it into a 40-year-old woman, who later gave birth to a healthy child. Number 6. Older moms are now having smarter kids. Ask, do younger or older women have smarter children? And most will lean towards mothers in their 20s rather than middle-aged moms. A 2017 study supported this view, but it also revealed a fascinating evolution in modern mothers that completely flips the story around. When given cognitive tests, kids born to older mothers today outperform those with younger mothers. This is a dramatic shift from 40 years ago, when the study found that the reverse was true. So what's going on? In industrialized countries, more older mums are now better off and having children at a later stage in life, and this seems to benefit their offspring greatly. These women tend to be more educated, established in professional careers, and avoid smoking during pregnancy. All of these factors were not necessarily true a couple of decades ago. More mothers also welcome their first child when they are older. Firstborns are known to perform better on cognitive tests, likely because they get all the parental attention and resources while there are no siblings. In the past, older women already had several children and divided their resources between them, something that did not afford the kids the same cognitive opportunities as one child with all the attention. Number 5. Breech births run in the family. Inheritance is mostly a good thing. You get the family home, some heirlooms, or perhaps a hefty check. But what you might not expect to inherit from your parents is the position in which you were born. Most babies arrive in the world head first, but 1 in 20 infants comes out backwards, an event referred to as a breech birth. Since this position is linked to serious health complications and even death, it's critical to better predict which babies are at risk. In the past, a low birth rate or going into premature labor were identified as causes. However, something was missing. Weight and early delivery only accounted for 1 in 7 backwards babies. Then, in 2008, a massive Norwegian study discovered that genetics play a huge role. Incredibly, they found that a firstborn child was twice as likely to be born bottom first if one or both of their parents had been a full-term breech baby. Number 4. The oldest baby born was 30. During 1994, Linda Archard and her husband underwent IVF and became the proud parents of a baby girl. The procedure produced 3 other embryos, but the Archards decided to freeze them. Decades later, Linda put them up for adoption. Lindsay and Tim Pierce happily accepted one of the embryos. Even though they just wanted to start a family, they unwittingly became part of an amazing story. The egg was successfully thawed and implanted, and on July 26, 2025, the Pierce couple welcomed a son into the world. Here's what makes him so special. He was frozen for 30.5 years, and this makes him the oldest baby in the world. In the U.S., cryobanks hold roughly 1.5 million frozen embryos. Many are adopted years after conception, so it's not uncommon anymore for kids to be decades younger than their siblings. For instance, the Pierce boy and his sister were conceived in 1994, but due to him being in a freezer for longer, she is 30 years older. Number 3. More girls are born during famine. Human births lean towards more boys. This might be nature's way of correcting for the fact that men have higher death rates than women. However, when times are hard, especially during famines, female births dominate the scene. One theory suggests that girls improve the odds of their mother's DNA surviving such a prolonged calamity. Experts argue that only a few strong males tend to reproduce in survival situations. At the same time, almost all females do, even when they are malnourished and stressed by famine themselves. Even if this is true, the question of how hunger affects an unborn baby's gender remains a mystery. The answer might lie in another study that found male embryos are often lost when a mother's blood sugar remains low. In all likelihood, a normal number of boys and girls are conceived during famine, but more female than male embryos survive their starving, hypoglycemic mothers. Number 2. Space kids aren't real. Few people understand how lucky a successful birth is. For example, 3/4 of all embryos are lost before the woman even knows that she is pregnant. For the pregnancies that continue, certain milestones must be reached, something space can complicate. Scientists aren't even sure how children will develop once they are born and gravity is missing. One thing is for sure, though. Since everything floats in space, a starship's labor ward will be incredibly difficult to run and keep clean during a birth. Heck, if the doctor accidentally loses their grip on the slippery newborn, Junior might sail through the air and collide with something. Cosmic rays and radiation can also wreak havoc with the infant in the womb and after birth, risking cell damage, developmental issues, and cancer. Since humans are determined to settle on Mars, understanding how to safely conceive, carry to term, deliver, and raise an infant in space is important. There are a lot of details to iron out. At least one question has been answered by experts. Are we currently ready to have space babies? Number, just no. Number 1, the last human baby. Modern society has birth rate angst. When too many children are born, people are convinced that overpopulation will strain resources to the point where Earth degrades into a dystopian desert world. When the birth rates plummet, some are convinced humans are rushing toward extinction. Let's imagine the worst-case scenario. Earth had just suffered a calamity that erased our fertility. If the last baby was born right before this event, how long would the human race last? As it turns out, a sorry 70 years, maybe even 60. People are living longer, but our longevity is mostly medicine and security-driven. As this last child grows older, the shrinking population won't be able to maintain food, drinking water, or medicine production. Societal order will collapse. If violence doesn't kill the last human, then a life without proper nutrition and healthcare will limit their existence, and the countdown to our extinction to about 60 or 70 years. If you enjoyed this top 10, then don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with the next list. See you in the next one.